Make sure to check out our sponsor, Cell Phone Buyers Recyclers. They want to buy your cell phone old, broken, or you're just trying to get rid of it. You can contact them right at the number on the screen, text or call. Also, their social media and website is in the description if that's more convenient. If you share their social media accounts on social media, get a chance to win an iPhone. Go check them out. Let's talk about The Last Dance, official review, part 5 and 6, I believe it was yesterday. And I think I enjoyed part 5 and 6 the most as far as a duel over the first 6 episodes, 3 weeks. They show 2 parts a week. I'm glad they're doing, or 2 parts on Sunday. I'm glad they're doing it that way instead of showing us 1 Sunday, 2 the next Sunday. So let's talk about it. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video, and some great things to take away from this. I think people that didn't grow up watching Mike or didn't grow up in the era and know how big Mike was, they kind of seen beginning of that episode, his last All-Star game, winning an MVP, just seeing how hectic life was as Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? And kind of how he knew that he was probably going to be done because Phil Jackson wasn't coming back. But you seen how popular Michael Jordan was. It's nothing. I mean, it's the Heatles couldn't compete with him. I'm talking about Brian, Bosh, and Wade. People was making a big deal about them, but Jordan was a huge deal. Jordan was probably the most polarizing athlete that the world has ever known. You know what I'm saying? And remember, basketball wasn't an international sport like it is now without Michael Jordan. Also you got to give credit to the Gasol brothers and Dirk Nowitzki and Drazen Petrovic. I'm butcher his name, and a lot of the foreigners that came over. You know what I'm saying? And Hakeem and a lot of them, Bola, they laid the groundwork as well too. But Jordan took the NBA international. Wilt and Bill laid the foundation. Jerry laid the foundation, but Magic and Bird built it, and Jordan took it to a whole nother level. And you actually seen the popularity of Michael Jordan. He sell out wherever he went. In the consistency of him to play and not take games off, that's the difference now. When LeBron was doing that load management, they was load managing on the road. So a lot of teams, he would go to Memphis and he only, he's in the East. He only went there once a year. And then LeBron, you go there and he rests. You didn't spend your money for what? It was a time, 2 seasons ago now, him and Giannis rested, they rested in Milwaukee. And he was with the Lakers. He only come there once a year. So for Jordan to play every night that he could play and give the fans a show and really never disappoint, you seen the effect where they did the Atlanta Hawks game in the Georgia Dome. That's how in demand, Jordan was. And Atlanta was as black as it gets in America. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DC as well, too. But that's as black as it gets. And you see the support that he had in Atlanta. And Jordan was a rock star. They wasn't coming to see Pippen or, Rodman like that, or Phil Jackson or Craig Hodges or Horace Grant. They was coming to see Mike. You feel me? They was coming. And that's how it was, bro. Even though people in Detroit hated Mike after the Bad Boys, after a couple years that faded, shit, motherfuckers were wearing Jordans. They was wearing the reversible Bulls hood. I had a reversible Bulls jacket, a non-zip up jacket, man. Yeah, Mike was it, bro. And his popularity, I still ain't seen the athlete reach that. Not even Wayne Gretzky. I still ain't seen nobody else reach that popularity, at least from my vantage point in America. But it also went into his sneaker deal. And I think, we all owe his parents. Anytime Michael didn't do something, them people called his parents. And that's a great sign of having a great support system. You know what I'm saying? When you can call somebody parents, and Mike had all this going for him. He was a 3rd round pick in the draft. He was, he hit that game winner versus Georgetown. He signed a nice contract. But his parents was always there for him. They always can control Mike. You can't say that about every athlete. You know what I'm saying? If to control them, you might have to call some of these dudes get $1 million and you can't tell them nothing. Some of them get $500,000 and you can't tell them nothing. You see how the little rapper NBA Youngboy did his mama. You know what I'm saying? You see how Blueface kicked his mama out the house. So that's why it's very important that we stop the baby mama situation in the black community and start building households. 2-parent households. Get the best of both worlds. But he didn't want to do a sit down with Nike. He didn't want to hear shit Nike had to say. Today, people like, oh, what? Mike didn't want to be with Nike. Adidas? Who the fuck wear Adidas? But Adidas was the hot shoe back then. The shell toes, the top 10s. I think Ewan was with Adidas. I mean, Converse. People saying Converse. Bernard King, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, that iconic commercial. That was it. Converse was the shoe. Remember, Nike started off as Blue Ribbon. People forget, shout out to Detroit Spencer Hayward. He turned down Nike stock for like $100,000 or some shit like that. I had a video on that. He turned down a Nike stock. But it was Blue Ribbon at the time, and Nike was, like I said in the doc, it was a track shoe. But, one of the things they left out the doc was Mike was very impressed with the meeting, but he didn't show that he was impressed in the meeting. He kept a stoic look. And they didn't know if Mike wanted to sign or not. And Mike left the meeting and told his people, like, yeah, I want to sign there. And, Nike curated the Jordan 1, which is probably one of the greatest gym shoes ever invented as far as just from a look standpoint. They are flat, hard to play in, but the Jordan 1 is one of the dopest shoes, and it's one of the most innovative shoes, and it was the best decision that he made. Like he said, if he didn't hoop, that shoe wasn't going to sell. And Michael hooped. He took the league box, he tore it up. And it helped that he didn't have too many alpha males in the locker room. The Bulls were a bad team. You see how he snitched on the Bulls again. We'll get to the snitching, where he said, when I got here 10 years ago, whatever point it was, he said they were smoking and drinking at halftime and the coaches was giving players cigarettes. So he had to deal with nothing. Michael could take all the shots he wanted to. And he took a team that wasn't shit the year before, and he took them to the playoffs. Shout out to Shaq. Orlando Magic had one of the worst records in the league. Shaq got there. They went from 18 wins to 40-something wins and barely missed the playoffs. That's how you know a player is truly great. Patrick Ewing almost instantly, I won't say instantly, turning Knicks fortune around. But, the sneaker game was just crazy after that, bro. And, his play on the court allowed in the design by the Nike design the sneakers, and they went from Michael Jordan took Nike from a track sneaker to a football sneaker. And he didn't even want to go there. He wanted to go to Converse. He wanted to go to Adidas. And his mother, calling his mother and his father, made him go take that meeting with Nike. And it was the best decision he made. Had he not had that support system, Michael wouldn't have took that deal. And that was one of the best decisions that he made that affected everybody. But then it goes on and, they kind of talk about, his downfalls, where they was getting smacked around by the Knicks. They was down 2-0, and he went to go to Jersey to gamble to get away. And that's his preference. He doesn't really care. He's not focused on basketball. And, basically like the Odell Beckham thing for this generation, where he took the receivers on a boat trip right before the playoffs and they played bad. And the difference was Mike gambled with some friends, went to Atlantic City to get his mind off basketball, but he came back and he dominated the Knicks and didn't even go 7 after being down 2-0, I believe it was. But, people think athletes is supposed to sit there and cry over spilled milk. I remember watching Ray, the kid that from Baltimore, Ray Rice. And they lost the playoff game after beating New England, right? I forget who they lose to. I think Denver. They lost to Denver that year. He comes to NFL Network the next week and they said, well, you ain't heartbroken over the loss? He says, I get over losses quick. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to hang my head. I'm going to live my life. And that's kind of how, most athletes think. Michael not going to just hang his head over, oh, we lost, I can't believe it, I'm going to stay in my hotel room and pout and cry. He got a life to live too. And if his mind is golfing or he said wasn't no golfing around at that point in time. So I went to the casino to gamble. So, like I said, it would have been a bigger story if he lost, but then it kind of went into some of his gambling issues with, where he took the stand on, Some dude, he took a stand on, Tony something, he took the stand on, he testified that he did take a loan from him and all that stuff, so people consider that snitching. But at the end of the day, I say this, man, when you talk about snitching, 9-to-5ers can snitch. You know what I'm saying? It's not snitching. You a law-abiding citizen. You see somebody get shot in the street, you a 9-to-5 guy, it's no problem. But if you a gangster and you in the street, you can't snitch. So you can separate it. Mike ain't never claimed to be no gangster. So, you know, Mike, people talking about, oh, he a snitch. Come on, 9-to-5ers ain't no snitch. You got work snitches. That's a totally different thing. He did some work snitching. They asked him who leaked the story about the Bulls. He said it was Horace Grant. He ain't even fucking stutter. He ain't say, well, I don't want to tell you. Horace Grant, Social Security number 111-5514. That Horace Grant, yeah, you live right there. 513 Mary Lane, yeah, Horace Grant, yeah, the one who wear the Adidas, you know, with the goggles, you know, yeah, that Horace Grant. You sure it was on, man? I got the video right here, man. It's Horace. You know, he didn't snitch no Horace. He got work snitches. He done dry snitched a few times in his doc. You think Mike care? No. And he went into like the Harvey Gantt thing situation and basically saying that he didn't want to be a role model and he ain't no Muhammad Ali. And like I keep saying this all the time. I did a stream on it. I talked about it multiple times, man. Stop looking up to athletes and music and actors and entertainers to be your fucking idols. Michael Jordan got every bit. He got every bit of responsibility, you know, that he wants, but he got every bit of a right. He got every right not to want to be black people's savior. You know, if he don't want to do it, he don't want to do it. Every athlete not gonna be Muhammad Ali. Every athlete not gonna be LeBron James. So with him saying Republicans buy sneakers too, is that one of the famous quotes? Hell yeah. That's some real raccoonish sounding stuff. But that's his opinion. He's a Republican. More than likely, the Republicans, he get a huge tax break. He ain't in the same tax bracket as you or I. So that's his reality. Everybody got to stop thinking that every athlete is Black Jesus to the hood. Soon as these dudes leave the hood, they get a snow bunny on their arm. They don't even remember what rummy noodles and Spam and Vienna sausages taste like. And if that was you, if that was the average black man or black woman out here, that'd be your ass too. So I'm not knocking Mike. Your kid's supposed to look up to you. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to teach them to look up to the real innovative and leaders and, you know, of our community in the past and the present, if it's any left. So that whole situation with Mike, as far as, you know, the Republicans buy sneakers and all that shit, that's his opinion. That's him. I'm not looking at Michael to lead me out of poverty. I'm not looking at Michael to, you know, show me a better way. I like Michael because he played basketball. If Michael couldn't play basketball and he was a banker, wouldn't nobody be looking up to Michael. If he was a doctor, wouldn't nobody be looking up to Michael. But then it kind of went into the Knicks series, right? Where they was playing the Knicks and shit. And after all that happened, and he brought in Easter Conference, and the Knicks were like the baby Pistons. You know, they played with physicality. Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing was a great ball player. You had Oakley, who used to be a Bull there, and you know they was a tough team, and they kind of had the same principles, but it was watered down due to the league changing the rules to help Michael out from the bad boys. But they had the same principles on how to guard Mike tough. They had a lot of gritty guys, they had a lot to prove, but they just didn't have the talent that the Bulls had, and that's Michael and Scotty, and you know they just stayed dominating the Knicks. You know, I know the Knicks fans when they went up 2-0 was talking cash shit. And some of those series used to be epic, but three-peating shouldn't be easy. You know what I'm saying? And the Knicks definitely made it hard to three-peat. And I believe they played the Lakers, and they played Portland. And Portland had made it 2 of the last 3 years because they played the Pistons. You know, I will always remember this, going back and watching the Pistons, and they beat us at in the Palace of Auburn Hills. And they said, all we need is one. He said, we ain't coming back here. Terry Porter said, we ain't coming back. We ain't coming back to Detroit. And the Pistons hadn't won in Portland in like forever. Pistons came back 3 straight because it was 2-3-2 for them at the time. And they came back and they beat Portland on their home floor. And Clyde Drexler, they was comparing Jordan to Clyde Drexler. And, you know, Jordan basically was saying Clyde ain't on my level. And he dominated Clyde Drexler. He hit 5 threes in the first half at 35 points In game one, Portland did win 2 games. It was just as competitive as the Phoenix series. And Jordan just completely dominated the series, dominated Clyde Drexler. And Clyde Drexler wasn't no bad guard. You know, Clyde can fly and get to the rim. He can score the bucket. And eventually, Clyde got his ring with Houston, the second Houston team that won it. But he just dominated, you know, Clyde Drexler. And he just had this facade. And any little bit of doubt that Michael had, it could have been one fucking crackhead in the middle of Chicago that said Clyde was just as good as Jordan. He took that doubt and made it seem like it was millions of people saying that. And he single-handedly destroyed Clyde Drexler. But they didn't even show the Portland, you know, doing nothing positive and winning no games for real. And they did win 2 games, man. But Portland had a really solid and gritty team with him and TP in the backcourt. Shout out to Terry Porter. Hopefully he get another coaching job. But, you know, then they kind of talked about, they did almost a whole episode about Phoenix and how Dan Marley was supposed to be this lockdown guy. And he took that Jerry Krause would love Dan Marley and he destroyed Dan Marley. It seemed like Jordan and Pippen and Scottie was competing more. Their competition was more with Jerry Krause than it was with Phoenix, Knicks, Pistons. They number one ops was Jerry Krause. You know, and the owner should have fired Jerry Krause. Don't give a fuck how much they was winning. The owner should have fired Jerry Krause and kept them in charge. But he destroyed Dan Marley. They show how, you know, Charles Barkley went crazy, and Charles Barkley probably be top player in the league damn near with small ball today. Barkley was an animal. Go look up some of his stats. He was getting 20 and 10 and crazy shit, man. And, you know, Barkley willed them to a couple wins, but, you know, they went back to Phoenix and Jordan shut all that shit down. You know, the whole Paxson play where Horace passed to Paxson and Paxson hit the 3 to stop it from going to game 7. So Michael had a few near misses going to game 7, man. But that Phoenix team was good, man. They really didn't get into that team, man. It was Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley was pretty good, old ass Denny Ainge, Charles Barkley. That was a really, really good team, man. And you know, it's probably one of the better teams that never won a championship. And you know, Barkley never made it back. Him and Hakeem and Scottie joined in Houston in the late 90s, and they could just never get over the hump at all. And, you know, unfortunately for them, Shaq and Kobe was coming, and Tim Duncan and David Robinson was coming down the line. And they just was too old at the time, and, you know, they just didn't work. You'll think Scottie, Pippen, and Barkley, you know, in their primes, they probably would have won a chip. But they didn't win one, even when he went over there. And, you know, that Phoenix series was dope, man. You know, I was hoping Barkley and then one time. I wasn't no big Jordan fan. I'm from Detroit. But, you know, it kind of went into, you know, just a lot of different phases. You can talk about these 2 episodes. I think it was the best, and it kind of went into the dream team situation where, you know, the Isaiah Thomas thing, and it was multiple players that didn't want Isaiah on the dream team, but Michael didn't want Isaiah on the dream team. And like I said, I did a video on the truth and facts about the Isaiah Thomas hate, Michael Jordan hate. It was all from Isaiah Thomas' side, and I'm a Piston fan because Michael Jordan instantly took Chicago away from Isaiah. Isaiah wanted to get drafted by Chicago. Mark Aguirre from Chicago went number 1 to Dallas. He went 2 to Indiana. He went from Indiana, he went 2 to Detroit. And he wanted to fall to Chicago. And, you know, a couple years later, Mike went to Chicago, and instantly Michael Jordan took Chicago away from Isaiah Thomas. And that's what that was about. And Scottie didn't like him. Carl didn't like him. A lot of people didn't like Isaiah because the way the Pistons played and how physical they was. Him and Magic was beefing at the time. I forget over what the fuck they was beefing with at the time. But a lot of players didn't like Isaiah on that team. And they talked about how they destroyed Tony Kukoc. Poor Kukoc. And, you know, but Tony, that's another guy. They destroyed Tony Kukoc because they was trying to get Kukoc to come to America rather than pay that slave contract that Scottie had signed right before he signed in. You know, they was going at Jerry Krause again. I'm telling you, Jerry Krause was the number 1 ops here. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Krause he ended the dynasty. He made it the dynasty tougher than what it had to be. He kept trying to tinker, and he treated Michael, he treated Scottie like shit. Jerry Krause was in Space Jam. He was a little green, little Monstar manager. You know what I'm saying? And Jerry Krause was their number 1 ops. Real talk. They've been fighting Jerry Krause forever. You know what I'm saying? And he never did shit without them. He broke that team up by not letting Phil come back. And that's what basically the main narrative is the last season all of that. But they destroyed Tony Kukoc. We all know that story based off because Jerry Krause once again was loving Kukoc and said that he might, you know, be one of the greatest players ever, which Kukoc was okay. He wasn't the greatest, but you know, that's what it's been about. It's just trying to get Jerry Krause, you know. Say fought him more than anything, but 5 and 6 is my favorite so far. They went into, you know, the Dream Team game and how Jordan dominated and became the alpha of all alphas, and he had to show Magic, he had to show Bird and the rest of them that he dominated, and he gained their respect. And on top of gaining his respect, he beat most of their ass. He beat Magic in the finals, didn't get a chance to beat Bird, beat Carl in the finals and down the line, and you know, he reigned supreme. And yeah, it did get to Kobe, and Kobe just talked about how, you know, how integral Michael was, and people talk about Michael versus Kobe #1, and Kobe saying that, you know, it wouldn't be no me if it wasn't for Michael, you know, and that sums it up right there. It wouldn't be no LeBron if it wasn't no Michael, if it wasn't no you know, if it wasn't, you know, Nate Tiny Archibald and George Gervins, it wouldn't be a lot of these dudes today. It wasn't no Bernard King, wasn't be no Melo. Michael Jordan loved, who was it, Michael Thompson, I think that's his name was. He loved him. You know, the way he could dunk, I'm probably butchering his name, I'm forgetting his name wrong way. Without him, it might not be no Michael Jordan. So it's hard to say you greater than the guy who came before you. But hey, Kobe, we needed that, you know, that interview with Kobe and him and Jordan. They made it seem like Jordan just dominated that All-Star game. Him and Jordan went back to back. But hey, let me know what you guys think about the review and what you think about episode 5 and 6. Don't forget, check our NBA Talk playlist, NBA Live playlist, NBA 101. Don't forget you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All the links in the description. You got business question, inquiry, response, your video question. Want to make a donation to the channel? Cash App, PayPal in the description. Best way to donate is share the video. Let me know what you guys think. One time for the one time we gone.